I'm Leonard Elijah Shemtob,
And I'm Amir Araghi.
and we are
The Conscious Cup Podcast.
Just as many of us drink our coffee to get through our day, the Conscious Cup Podcast is about filling your soul with the guiding light of energy to navigate you through your week. And on today's show, we'll be talking about zeros.
And ones.
We'll go through the grind, where we talk about upcoming events in the spiritual community. Then to filling your cup, where we talk about the main topic today, zeros and one. And then to what's brewing, where we take a peek into global consciousness. And to finally spill the beans, where we discuss our weekly spiritual task that both you and us were held accountable to, and reflect on them and talk about our experience. And with that, we ask you, what are you filling your spiritual cup with? Welcome back.
Welcome back. How's it going?
We're in sync, man.
We are in sync.
We're not the Backstreet Boys.
It's going to be one of those nights, right? It might be a musical night again tonight.
I don't know. We'll see.
Feeling good?
We'll see.
Feeling good?
It's, the tides have turned.
Ooh, tell me about that.
It's just a good expression.
Got it. I thought we were going to something that's going on, something personal that happened. Tides are turning.
I mean,
Good tides turning.
it's
Good tidings.
I feel like people are more and more waking up every day. I'm having conversations with people that I didn't have conversations with prior.
Absolutely.
About things that I was, they were not interested in talking about. So it's hope. I mean, there's still a long way to go, but it's just, you see it more now. I think you just see it more obviously, and some of the folks that didn't see it are seeing it a little bit.
That's
too.
right. That's right.
know?
Yeah. We're going to touch on that a little bit and what's brewing too. But, I've been saying this for a while now is I go, just don't judge things on what the narrative is created and put in front of you, specifically through news and social media and movies and conversations and this and that, but really observe through your own specific perception, through your own specific lens of what you are observing, of what you are absorbing through all the interactions that you have. And you will see that consciousness has shifted. The conversations shift, the energies have shifted, the vocabulary has shifted, the definitions have shifted. Everything is beginning to shift. And so this is really important. We'd love to hear from you in the comment section. If you have experiences with this, do you agree with this? Do you not? I am a huge advocate of it. So I'm really happy you're saying that, because things are moving and they're moving really, really quickly. Our backdrop in our beautiful forest, but sometimes because we're in the middle of it, it's hard to see. But when you pull yourself out of it and you go, was I having this conversation 3 years ago? Was I having this conversation 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago? And granted, we all change unequivocally. Everything is changing. But within that, certain conversations are definitely there. So I love hearing that from you.
Yeah. So the issue is that we are in our own bubbles, right, to some degree.
Mm-hmm. So
we see just our interactions with our cohorts, our friends, family, etc., and we say, well, we're not sure what's happening outside of that. If I'm spending my time in, let's say, Culver City, right, I know what's happening in Culver City and some surrounding
right,
areas to some degree, because I can go to the store there, I can go to the market, I can go to the pharmacy, I can go to these places and see how people are acting and what they're presenting out there. But I can't take a global snapshot. I can't go, hey, you know what? Let me go see what's happening, for example, in Midwest or in New York or in Texas or here. Mm-hmm. So what do people do is they rely on what they hear. And what do they get? Where does that information come from that they hear? Sometimes a friend, but most of the time the media.
Right.
And the media is fantastic at presenting something.
Programming.
Exactly. And it's an art form that they've created this programming, this presentation.
Correct.
And then we say, well, okay, maybe it's like this for me here, but elsewhere it's like that.
Right.
And that's where the trouble lies, So it's like, sometimes some things are so loud, right? Like what happened in Hawaii is so loud and obvious to so many people that when I hear someone hasn't heard of it, and not just saying what was presented but what
Right.
the people saw
Right.
and posted videos on and stuff.
The truth, not the
Yeah.
reality.
Right.
The reality.
Right. For me, it's like, that's obvious. So when I talk to someone, they're like, oh, I don't know anything about that. I'm like, where are you?
Right.
But that's the reality of it too, is that
Correct.
I'm in the circles of people who talk about like stuff like that,
Correct.
where some people have no business personally wanting to be in anything like that. As a
Right.
matter of fact, if you bring it up to them, they'll say, stop talking about it.
Well, yeah. I mean that's compounding two things. One is a lot of people don't want to necessarily hear things that challenge, because it doesn't just challenge the news on Maui; it challenges everything that they are
And this is
about.
a big deal.
But here's a question for you, almost rhetorical, because I know what you and I are going to say on it. But the question is that even in your bubble, as those conversations begin to shift, unequivocally, because we're interconnected, that will mean that everywhere simultaneously those conversations are also going on as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, to some degree, for sure. I mean, that makes sense. There's a string of interconnectedness amongst everybody, right? So, and there's the monkey, whatever, the 50th monkey effect or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Excuse me if I'm not quoting it correctly, but there's things can happen like that. And yes, awareness is rising. It is what it is. We know you guys are aware with us, and we appreciate you. We appreciate you listening. Like, subscribe, comment, share. We're glad you're here with us on this journey, and we're grateful that we actually can have these kind of conversations with you.
Yes.
Because we see you, we meet
Yes.
you, we talk about all this stuff, and we're not looked at as crazy folks who wear a tinfoil hat. You actually are on board. And
we take those off right before we record.
We actually just photoshopped the tinfoil hat out.
Exactly.
It's on.
It's a green screen.
You can.
It's a
I'm
green
touching
screen.
it.
Yeah. Oh, it just went crooked.
Oh, sorry.
There
But
you
when I go back,
Yeah.
I'll in the editing
Yeah.
booth, we'll have our editor. He's a great editor, great guy, by the way.
Yeah.
He'll fix it.
We are, though. We're really happy we're on this journey together. Honestly, I have said this so much in the past, I would say this year in particular, but what a space-time to be alive in. Like, man, we are on the precipice of huge shifts, and it is just exciting. I get so excited. I know it sounds cheesy. I genuinely, you know this about me, I really get excited, and I think it's such a good time to be alive.
It's so interesting is that the more and more you study symbolism, the more and more that you're able to start to see the coding that's done within all of the programming. And it's really like, I thought I was ready for some of the stuff, and I figure myself pretty awake, but it goes so deep. It's so deep. It's so like
layers and layers and layers and layers and layers.
Like, we're just seeing the pop of oil, where we're not even seeing what's in the actual frying pan. There's a reason the oil is popping.
Mm-hmm.
But what about what's in the frying pan that's making it pop?
That's right.
And it's like, when you start to look in there is where really you get sick.
Then it's a pan, then it's a kitchen, then it's a commercial kitchen, and then it's just gigantic. It is remarkable, the layers of this. What is very beautiful about it is that so as above, so below, all of these shifts are occurring on all of these levels. So we tend to categorize them as different, right? Up and down, left and right, different densities, whatever. And those things do occur, but because it's interconnected, all of these densities in a way are literally experiencing these things on different levels. And so it's really exciting, because it feels like it's that last jigsaw puzzle piece that's coming together. You just, there's something innately there for it, and it's exciting. It's really exciting.
Well, with that, let's head into the grind.
Yes, let's head into the grind.
So we
Couple
have
events.
Couple events to share. First one is Awaken Heart Wisdom, the Science and Spirituality of the Heart Healing. This is offered by a Heart Math certified coach. Heart Math is good folks. They're good folks. Wednesdays, 6:30 to 7:45 at the Atma Healing Art Studio on 145 Bay Street in Santa Monica, California. $22, multiple dates. Starts at 6:30. And yeah, there's one on September 20th, October 18th, November 8th. So there's plenty to choose from.
Almost once a month.
Yeah. Join us. It says, join us for an evening of deep connection and transformation as we experience the gentle power of breath, movement, and meditation. The event is designed to help you tap into your inner wisdom, connect with your heart's desire, and surrender what weighs heavy on your heart. Jennifer Dickens, a certified heart math coach, will guide you through a variety of techniques to help you release tension, open your heart, and connect with your inner self. Through gentle movement, breath work, and guided meditation, you will be able to access the deeper levels of awareness and insight and learn to live life light-hearted.
Beautiful.
All right.
It's funny, as you were reading that, going back to our original conversation that we started off tonight with, and just so many of those words that are used. 20 years ago, people wouldn't speak like that. Like just that in and of itself shows the progress of consciousness. That's really, really beautiful. That's a great area to be in, by the way. That Santa Monica on Bay Street that's a nice area. That's there. Event number 2 that involves Mr. Leonard and myself. We are doing a movie night. Leonard's gracious enough to host us for this one. We are going to be holding it on Sunday, October 1st. The timing will coordinate, but most likely it'll be in the afternoon into the evening. And it's going to be
limited spots.
Huh?
Limited spots.
Limited spots, yeah. Small
Just
group.
2 people. That's all we can.
Yeah. So if you haven't RSVP'd yet, you
You're
can't
done.
because the 2 of us are here, so it's all done. We'll do a summation later for you.
We're doing movie night. It's just us.
Yeah.
We did it. You guys missed out.
Me and him are going to watch a movie, and we'll tell you all about it. So if you're interested, please join. No, but it should be great. Spiritual Warrior will be the movie. I have not seen it. Leonard, have you seen it?
I have seen it. It's not that's not even the right name.
Oh.
It's all
I thought
good.
you said Spiritual Warrior.
And Peaceful Warrior.
The Peaceful Warrior, excuse me.
But I kind of wanted to make it a surprise. If you, most likely by the time this comes out, we probably already did this movie night. But if we haven't,
We'll be on track by then. It's 2 weeks out. We'll be on track. We're not that far behind.
don't watch it. Don't do anything. Don't watch a trailer. Nothing. Just come with an open mind, and that's the best way.
I agree. Totally agree.
And it would be really nice. We'll have an opportunity to talk about it afterwards. I'm actually reading the book now too, so maybe I'll be able to offer some insight from the book that wasn't put in the movie. We'll see. I'm reading 10 books right now, but I'll try to put some more time into this one.
I love it.
I found a website called World of Books, by the way, wob.com, and they carry used books, and the prices are phenomenal.
Oh, that's
usually
awesome.
anywhere from like $3 to $6 a book.
Okay.
And it's free shipping over $10.
Oh, that's great.
They're not our sponsors. I just had a good experience with them, and I've ordered like 30 books, like for nothing. And I just great. Like I have all these books I like.
That's
they're $3 to $6. Like
yeah, that's a great resource.
With free shipping.
wob.com, worldofbooks.com. Very good. That is, I didn't know about that. I've
and
heard of them.
it's much cheaper than Amazon. Like,
yeah. Plus,
why would I get business Amazon?
What do you want to? If it's a book that really moves you, keep it. If not, pass it on to somebody else. Let somebody else engage with that book. Let somebody else think about the library of books that you have at home. Most people do. When was the last time you've actually sat through? There are some people that do that are constantly rereading books, but books are for sharing. So put them back on WOB. I'm sure you can sell them on there too,
totally
right?
Can,
Yeah, share it, gift it to people. Who cares? So what? It's a used book. So what? What difference does it make?
Actually, I highlight my books. I make notes in my books. I do.
Yeah,
and it's
but I'm saying for
great.
people who don't,
right? But
just
I'm saying
sell them back. It's all
even
good.
if you do those things and you send it to somebody, it's nice because it's like, oh look, they highlighted some good parts.
Yeah,
Let
me see what this guy thinks. Yeah.
So anyway, movie night. We're excited about it.
Yes.
I'm really excited to see all of you or whoever's going to come. I know not all of you are going to come, but
yes,
whoever does come, I'm excited to see you guys. It'll be great. Maybe we can, do dinner afterwards or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. Somehow, if it, I just want to spend more time.
100%. We
so
will.
We'll try to make it movie plus.
Yeah, it's again, look, everything that is done is about community and spending time together, and it's about vibration. Vibration is the key, which we'll talk a lot about tonight, by the way, in our in the main topic. But yeah, the whole point of this is it's not about the movie. The movie is a platform for this to get built on. All of this stuff that is done is because of that. It's the exchange of vibration. It's the harmonizing of vibration. It is the clarity and the light that comes, and you really feeling that light, and ultimately then being in that state of love. That's what
beautiful.
It is. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Well, with
beautiful.
that, we're ready to move on to filling your cup.
Filling your cup.
The main topic.
Yes.
0 and 1.
0 and 1. And it's very important, by the way. We say 0 and 1. I know we started saying zeros and 1, but it's 0 and 1, non-plural. That is the topic tonight. Originally I really wanted to have a full-on conversation about numerology as a whole. And that would be encompassing from 0 to 10. From 10 on, it cycles back onto itself, really. It's just a matter of really learning the basics from there. So it's really 0 to 9. 10 does have the completion status with it. All of this will hopefully make sense by the end of the night. But the more and more I thought of this, and I've been really wanting to do this subject for quite a while now of numerology, I just realized there's just not enough time. So I thought, and what I mean by that is there's always plenty of time, but in our hour and a half that we're together on these podcasts, that it's just not enough. So I'd rather give integrity and energy to the two most fundamental things. And what I found over the course, particularly of the past 2 years, specifically really the past 2 years, is that even for those who are very, very, very understanding of numerology, of numbers and what they stand for, and let me backtrack. This is not an astrological numerology. I'm not talking about that. There's no judgment on that, but this is not specific to that. This is a numerology that has to do with consciousness and numbers in their purest, truest forms. That 0 and 1 are actually really misunderstood. Really misunderstood. And often, which is, I think, the programming of other forces, these two things are really actually collapsed on top of each other. Meaning there's certain ways that clearly are 0 and they're talked about as if they're 1, and specifically and more so that there's traits of the 1 that is talked about the 0. And so I thought before we go into this whole thing and do all of that, let's really drill down on 0 and 1 on this podcast as much as we can, as much time as we have together, and go from there. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to start with the basics from there, and then I'm going to really tie in several things. And towards the end of this, what I would like to do is really, really, really clarify the delta between the two, the difference between the two, and where they resonate. Now, we've touched on some of these states. We've touched on this really with the idea of both love and truth and reality have been a big part of this. I want to be really, really clear, again, that this numerology is extremely specific. Don't mix it with densities of consciousness. Don't mix it with dimensions. Don't mix it with just flat. You can kind of mix it with flat math, but
don't mix it with alcohol.
Don't mix it with alcohol. You could drink alcohol during this podcast, though. It'll make it more fun. It's a very specific angle to look at this from. And so that is the purpose of tonight. So we are going to go and start with the number 0.
I could have guessed that.
Would have been a good guess. You 50, are correct. Shot. Yeah. We're going to start with 0. So 0 in how do we write it in English, right? It's a circle. Do you know how they write it in Arabic or Farsi or some of the older ancient cultures or languages?
I don't.
Do you know how they're? It's a dot, actually. It's not a circle. Now, why? So
it's like a period, basically?
It's like a period, exactly. It's a period, except it's up, right? It's like halfway on the, if you have the lines like.
So it's like centered.
It's centered, correct, yeah. So like in in the Western cultures, we have the one and then we have the zero. So that's what it would look like. In those cultures, it's just a dot. So it's a one and a dot if you wanted to do it. And the reason I bring this up, because this is really, really relevant to our conversation. When zero is drawn this way as a circle, and this will come up later, some people will talk about the infinity, there's no beginning, there's no end, all of that. But the point of the zero is this stillness. It is the no-thingness. It is the state of which cannot be described, cannot be, I'm going to say this and then run away from it, cannot be felt. It is the state of isness. That's the best way I can say it. So what does that mean? It means that it doesn't mean that there's nothing, right? Because there has to be something. The paradox is that there is no thing there either. So it is literally the force of which is undescribable. Everything that I'm going to try to do tonight to try to describe zero is actually going to kill it.
Well, it's like the Tao.
Like the Tao. Tell me.
They say that, the Tao that's put into words is not the Tao.
It dies immediately, right?
It's unexplainable, undescribable.
Yes.
But what we're doing here, though, is we're trying to use words as a podcast, obviously, to describe all this stuff. So we'll do the best we can, but understand that it's not the final and absolute definition, because there is no real definition, especially for something of this nature.
Correct.
Buddhism has a lot to say about that,
Yeah. Buddhism is very centered around the zero, actually.
Yeah.
Another way to think about it is the infinite. But as soon as I even say infinite, I'm crushing it, because it's a concept.
See, that's the thing, is that you're going from zero is before concept.
Correct. Exactly.
Exactly. Anytime a concept is brought up, we've moved out of zero.
There is nothing that has relativity to it. There is no comparison to it. There is no description of it. It is a state of isness. Even describing it as stillness is an incorrect idea.
So when Amir started on this journey of this conversation, I said, he's probably going to ask me, what do I think zero is? And my answer was going to be, you ready? That was my answer.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So zero has this extraordinarily unique vibration to it. And it's not a vibration. There's no other words to kind of describe it. So what we can say is it is a state of which everything that is comes from. And it is also a state of stillness, and it is also the state of most activity, and it is also a state of the complete unknown, but yet that sees everything. It is a very paradoxical state. It is a field of infinite possibilities, if we want to put it that way. It is also the idea of which is a feminine idea, the zero. Why do I call it? And I'm going to go into a little bit of masculine and feminine now. The reason zero is a feminine energy, and what feminine means it is a holder. It is a receiver. But similarly to what we have as a female in the physical aspect of humanity, the receiver also therefore becomes the giver, because it is the woman that receives, but she is also the one that births the child. So it is a very paradoxical state, but it is a space that holds. It is, and I can't even describe it as a space or holding, because even that kills it. But just bear with me, because language is going to be a little bit tough tonight to describe this. So zero is a state of stillness, all activity, undescribable, field of infinite possibilities. Like infinite to every aspect of every infinite that you can think of exists there. What I'm going to say right now might sound a little bit crazy, and I'm going to read it actually a little bit later on from Bringers of the Dawn. Our universe is one aspect of the number one. So from zero, just as math goes, meaning math obviously is very straightforward, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, to infinitum, right? That's just the linear sequence of numbers. So the thing that starts the sequence of numbers is 0. From there, it goes to 1. Now, what is 1? When I say that, I didn't ask you about 0, but now let me ask you, what is number 1?
So this is when we move from basically no concept to concept.
Okay.
So the concept of oneness is we're all one. But see, when you're all one, you still have an identity. And when you're in zero, there's no identity to be had. So that's how I look at the big difference between 0 and 1. Is that, when we say, oh, we're all one, we're all one. And yes, that is true. We are all one. But that we are all one, there is still a attachment to the identity of we are one.
Correct. There is a we.
Yes.
There is a one.
Yes.
So this is very, very nicely said. So the idea of one, as he implicitly implied, is that it is a state of oneness. There is the one. There is the whole. That is the idea of it. Now, I'm using that language very particularly. Whole is oneness. You see, when I talked about the idea of the zeros being shaped differently.
So there's a donut, which is a 0, and there's a donut hole.
Correct. Well, donut hole
is the Arabic
yes,
dot.
Correct. So the donut hole is. Everything's there. The holder of the holder then becomes the one, becomes the large circle.
So the donut is the 1 and the donut hole
Correct.
is 0.
So the way to look at this oneness, which is really beautiful. By the way, I've said this book several times. The Golden Lake is absolutely incredible. And so the idea of the 0 in the Golden Lake is described beautifully. It says, you cannot but exist already in oneness. So this outside donut, the circumference of it, holds everything within oneness. The literal idea of one is that it is the holder of it. It is already contained. It is already interconnected. It cannot go anywhere. Where do we exist in the largest grand scheme? What do we call this place that we exist in?
Universe.
The universe. What does universe mean? It's this.
Uni.
Uni means what?
United.
One. Right? Verse means a song, which we'll get into that later on, not tonight. But this is one rendition, this is one verse of the infinitum that we just described. So there is nowhere for you to go in this space-time continuum that is not in the universe. It would literally be an impossibility. What's the only way we can get out of this universe?
That's a good question. I mean, depends on how you look at it. There's the game of getting out of the octave.
Okay.
Right? That's the one way you can get out of the universe potentially.
Where do you go after the octave?
To a new octave.
Which is where?
Could be in a different universe.
So he's answering the question with that. Beautiful. So the only way to get out, quote unquote, out of the universe is for you to go and become the infinite oneness, in a way, if we want to call it that. And from that oneness, go back to 0. And from 0, go somewhere else. That's a huge journey.
Yes.
Huge journey. We keep
millions and millions and millions of human years.
Yes. And that
billions, actually.
And that is maybe just the human aspect of the universe. How many other being types are there? How many other planet types are there? How many other galaxies?
And here's where it's really fun is that it's infinite.
Exactly.
It never ends.
Right.
Octave after octave, like a piano, like notes. You get to this one, you go to that one, and so on and so forth and so forth.
Yes. So I want to be really, really clear on this. When we say, and you've often heard people talk about this, there are different timelines. There are different realities. There are blah, 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 on and on and on. All of those things exist in this universe. Right? So all of those possibilities, all of those timelines, the timeline of which we are wearing tinfoil hats on our heads, whatever you want to call it, those exist explicitly in our universe, in our one. Now, the one is also the masculine energy and not the feminine energy. Why? Masculine energy is the giver. It is the doer. It is the state of becoming, if we want to call it that way. This is extremely, extremely important for us to clarify in. And they
Well,
are
look at just the shape. Sorry, can I add something?
absolutely.
Look at just the shape of the Okay, so if you guys do work in any type of construction, right? There's a screw, there's a female male, right? And it's like this female male, right? Like, I mean,
That's
no
right.
pun intended. It's like
Yeah.
that. Now look at 1 and 0.
Zero. Light switches, right? Binary code of programming on computers is 0 and 1. It's literally based off of that. And you go look at the movie The Matrix, that when they all have those numbers rolling down on the screens, that is binary code essentially. I mean, they include more numbers, but the whole idea.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that even the presentation of the actual appearance of the number 1 and 0 matches with feminine and masculine.
Exactly. It is literally shaped in
Yes.
that way. Literally, physically, it is shaped that way. And these aren't coincidences. Everything in the universe is there as a reminder for you to understand who you
We talked
are.
about symbolism and signs earlier, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
if you look at things from that perspective, you see what it is.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. That's exactly what it is. So we see all of these reminders in multitudes of ways. So the idea of the 0 is the feminine, but the feminine is giving birth to the masculine. So you can imagine, as this state of infinite possibility exists, as soon as there is movement within that, and I'm using this purposefully as a birth, as soon as there's even the first inclining of movement, the 1 is being born. The 1 has been born. It is being born through the 0 into the oneness. So 0 is clear, 1 is clear now. Okay, so we have the idea that this is the field of infinite possibilities, and this is the field of oneness. Okay, here comes the tricky part with this. We often blur these two lines together, and we do this quite a bit. So I have a few different sections from several different books that I want to read to you about this. I'm going to tackle this part, and then I'm actually going to work backwards a little bit back into the numerology. We've often said it in spirituality. We say our world is filled with infinite possibilities. Well, not quite. Not quite. Our universe has certain laws that exist within here. The first and most clear law that I can tell you is that in our universe, something exists as space, and in order for space to exist in our one, in our oneness, time needs to exist. Is that clear? By the way, anywhere I'm not clear, please tell me. In order for space to exist in our universe, time must exist because they are reliant on each other. In physics, we call this the space-time continuum, meaning that space infinitely goes out, time infinitely goes out. Even in that is a quandary because they are limited to each other, meaning that the space cannot exist without the time and the time cannot exist without the space. Look at it this way. The definition of time relies on space, and the definition of space relies on time, meaning how far is this from here to there? You define it as a time, and the other exists as well. The time describes the distance. So these two things are interlocked. There are other universes. This is mine. This kills me every time in a good way. There are universes that exist in which space and time do not rely on each other. Think about that for a while. That should be a mind number. It could be a good Dr. Seuss book. So this is extremely, extremely important to remember that in and of itself, our universe has boundaries to it, has certain limitations, or if you want to be more gentle with the vocabulary, certain laws that exist within our universe. By definition, therefore, it is not infinite. It cannot be because there is a boundary to it. It is
The outside of the donut.
the outside of the donut. By the way, every time I say donut, you know what I think about?
Homer Simpson.
Yes. Are you serious?
Yeah, of course.
I love it. Comment if you thought of Homer Simpson too, because that's all I think about is a pink glazed donut with with rainbow sprinkles on it. All right. The issue is now that we believe when we talk about the universe that the universe is the source of all things. No, no, no. The universe is solely and only the source of this state of existence and nothing else. It is very hard for us to believe because we want to immediately make that jump and say the universe is all and all is the universe. No, no. We have the concept of the multiverse. We literally have a different word for that. That means that the one is part of the several. The several is part of the infinite. There is no other place to go. This is from Alan Watts' book, Taoism, Way Beyond Seeking. Really, really interesting. Please stop me anywhere that you think needs more description. The Western idea of nature also included the notion that there was, in the beginning, a lawgiver who conceived of an ideal plan for the universe. This plan was called the Logos, or the Word, which in Christianity is the second person of the Holy Trinity. That element of the divine nature, which, according to Christian theology, is supposed to have been incarnate in Jesus Christ. It is said in the Christian creed that one believes in, quote unquote, one God, the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth and of all things visible and invisible, and in one Lord Jesus Christ, the only begotten Son of God, God of God, light of light, true God of true God, begotten, not made, being of one substance with the Father, by whom all things were made. Clear? It's good?
Sure.
However, people don't usually understand this concept. They think it is the Father by whom all things were made. But no, it is not. It is the Son, the Word, by whom all things were made. We've talked about this. The Logos is the universe in a way.
Right. So basically there it's saying that that's the one, right?
Correct. The Logos
Yes.
is the one.
And the zero is prior to the one.
The zero is
Yeah.
prior. And again, I'm obviously using masculine and feminine, but here the Father is what I use as the feminine or the holder of that space. The one is the one who's actually creating all of this. I'll read that again. They think it is the Father by whom all things were made, but no, it is not. It is the Son, the Word, by whom all things were made. To put it another way,
Because the making, pause there, the making is the act of the birthing, which is the act of the one.
as soon as there's movement,
Then it's the one.
it's gone.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Thank you. To put it another way, the law, the ideal pattern of the universe, is the actual creative agent in Christian philosophy. This leads to our idea of the law of nature as being, as it were, the supernatural rail upon which the cosmic streetcars are forever to run. And so there is the idea that, quote unquote, all flesh is grass, but surely the word of the Lord abideth forever. So, to act according to nature means to act according to the laws that the Lord God has laid down for every particular species and for every particular member of that species. But of course, this idea gives rise to the possibility of being unnatural or behaving unnaturally, of breaking the law of nature, and of doing things that you were never supposed to do. So in this way, the West has the thought that one can be unnatural and that you can break the laws of nature. Why I read this last part is really, really important. The laws that are set forth by the one. Bless you. For example,
Thank you.
when something happens, you sneeze at some points. The laws that are set in our universe are literally based upon space and time. You cannot act in our universe outside of that. That is the one, that is not the zero that gives way to it. It is very, very, very different way of looking at this. So I just want to be clear on that. Does that make sense, Leonard?
Yes.
We get our approval from nature too.
Coyotes agree.
Yes. Okay. Now, I want to bring
Is that
in...
a werewolf?
It's a werewolf. Yeah.
Is it?
No.
It's howling at the moon.
Yeah. There's no moon. It's a new moon. It could be a wolf. I wonder if the audio picks up. Let us know.
I doubt it. Even though it's going on for quite a while and quite intensely.
So the question therefore comes, why does all of this, where does movement come within the one? What exists? What is beyond that? So there's certain ways to do this. I'm going to read a couple other quotes on this, and then we'll tie all of these things together. This is also from Alan Watts. I want to read the Alan Watts sections together so that they're in the flow of the same conversation. They're cohesive. Now, according to certain cosmological theories, the universe began with a primordial explosion. We call that the Big Bang. That cosmic explosion is still happening, and today we are little curlicues far out on the edge of it. And we are all connected. We are still expanding as a part of the original explosion, and that explosion, in a certain sense, is in you, and you are still manifesting it. Consider your hand picking up a stone. The stone is very ancient, but how old is it? Scientists will say it comes from the Pleistocene age, and it is probably about 1 million years old. But hold on for a minute. What do they mean by 1 million years old? Where did it come from? What was it before it was a stone? Was it something or other? It goes back in time, and therefore everything you touch, including yourself, is incredibly ancient.
Yes.
So beautiful. So beautiful. It is the layers upon layers upon layers upon layers upon layers that exist. Now, this goes back to the 0 and the 1. This is one of my favorite excerpts from this book. Now, this is the fundamental principle upon which ancient Chinese thought developed. It is the principle of the yang and the yin. And this is one of the oldest ideas.
This is the spins it?
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, no. This is not that one.
Okay.
No. That one's great too. That one's great. It is the principle of the yang and the yin, and this is one of the oldest ideas on the planet. The philosophy of Taoism, which I speak of when I talk about the Book of Changes or the I Ching, is based entirely on the idea that the universe is the result of an interplay between primordial differences such as up and down, back and forth, black and white, is and isn't, male and female, positive and negative. The word yang in Chinese refers to the south side of a mountain, which is the sunny side. The word yin refers to the north side of the mountain, which is the shady side. Did you ever see a mountain that was south-sided only with no north side? Yang may be referred to the north bank of a river, which gets the sun, and yin to the south bank of the river, which gets the shade. And so, of course, the yin-yang symbol is half dark and half light. It looks like two fishes interlocked, chasing each other. They actually form a more complicated symbol, however, a helix. The spiral nebulae have a form like a helix. By the way, spiral nebulae is a spiral galaxy. The Milky Way is a spiral galaxy, all of these things are symbols. Everything that goes on around us is a symbol about who we are. We're just asleep to it a lot of the times.
Yeah, you've seen the people, they put the leaf up to their palm, and it looks like it's their palm.
Yes. Yeah, it's beautiful. Everything is reflecting back.
Yeah, even the fruits and vegetables are shaped like the organs they help.
Everything. It is incredible once you uncover symbolism. It is.
And what about the face? Wait till you get into the face and you look at why someone's nose points this way and this and that. It's very interesting.
It's awesome.
It is.
Truly in the word. Okay, I'm going to skip that. Okay. They are trying to get... Okay, sorry. The spiral nebulae have a form like a helix. It is also the position of a man and woman making love, in which, fundamentally, each is trying to get inside the other. They are trying to get into the middle of each other, but there is always a difference somehow, and they can never quite get to the other's center. They are two parts of a whole, just as if I want to see the back of my head, I can turn it round and round, but I can never quite catch up with it. But that is what makes everything work. It is said in the Vedanta Sutra that the Lord, the supreme knower of all things, who is the knower in all of us, doesn't know himself. In the same way, the fire doesn't burn itself, and a knife doesn't cut itself. So, this is such a beautiful line. So, to God, nothing could be more mysterious than God. It's really, really beautiful. Why do we exist here? It is of the energy of the infinite zero that is trying to tangibly experience what that zero is. That is true infinity, not the one. The one is a mere aspect. Our entire universe is a mere aspect of that. So when you say infinite, are you talking about the zero, or do you mean the one? And I want us to be so clear on that idea, that one is the movement, one is the masculine, one is the moving, one is the being. Zero is. And in that, we'll get onto it on other times. I may just do a whole day class on this, on numerology. But one makes no sense without the two. Zero is irrelevant to anything that exists around it. It doesn't need a relevance to it. One needs the two.
Needs a duality.
Needs the duality. I'm going to be careful with this. In our universe, it needs the duality. There could be other universes of which duality does not exist. Just think about the idea that time can exist without space. It's literally a killer of the mind, which is awesome. A few more reasons I want to get into how...
What are those called when they... it's called a koan. A cone, right?
Which one?
Go, that idea of getting a exercise that's almost impossible to solve is called a koan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, like, for example, they tell you, like, what is the Buddha nature of an ant? Or, like, what is the sound of one hand clapping?
Huh. I love that. I've never heard that.
Yeah.
I love it. This is where we are, though. That is exactly...
So, like, when you go to Zen Buddhist, like, you know, Alan Watts is a Chan Buddhist, a Zen Buddhist. So, you know, they'll go to these Zen Buddhist temples, and the master will come out and say, you know, what is the sound of one hand clapping? You know, what is the Buddha nature of a cricket? And you're supposed to, you know, answer these things, but you can't answer it from that space of logic. You have to go out of your mind, and that's the point of it.
I love it. It reminds me of a kind of a cheesy joke, and shout out to my friend Payman because he's the king of cheesy jokes. Have you heard of this one?
Are we telling jokes now? All right, let's do it.
The what's his name? The Dalai Lama goes into a pizza shop and the guy says, he goes, "What do you want? What can I get for you?" He says, "Make me one with everything." It's a good one, but it's a little deep, but
That's
it's a
nice.
corny one.
That's nice, actually.
These next quotes I'm bringing to give color both to, again, where did this come from? Because Alan Watson, that last quote, describes it so beautifully. The most mysterious thing to God is God itself. The zero, while it sees everything, it is also very mysterious to it in a way, even though it is there. You see, the vibration, and I'll come back to this. Let me stop. Let me read this, and so we can wrap up very, very soon. From Bringers of the Dawn. Prime Creator, however you'd like to call it, and I'm going to clarify Prime Creator tonight. Prime Creator began experimenting with creation a long time ago in this universe for the purpose of greater self-exploration, self-gratification, and self-expression. This universe is interlocked in such a way that it is based on the domino system. All aspects of consciousness have gathered in this universe to affect each other, because that is the only way consciousness in this particular system can experience itself. In another system, aka in another universe, I should just read it. In another system or another universal structure, each and every type of consciousness may be completely free. In other words, you could be on your own and serve no purpose to anyone else. That is not true in this universe. Really powerful. For a second, let's break off the conversation, meaning that everything that you do has the biggest impact on everything that exists. Take 5 seconds and let that settle. Everything that you do has the biggest impact on everything else that exists. That's how powerful you are. Eons ago, Earth was but a thought in the minds of great beings who had set before themselves the task of creating new forms of existence. Many of these beings affected the creation of this universe, and you have termed them God. In actuality, they were extraterrestrial light-bearing energies far removed from Prime Creator. Lowercase. We rarely use the term God with a big G. If we were to use that term, we would be referring to the entity we know as Prime Creator. Prime Creator, in its own personal implosion through love, endowed all things with consciousness. All things are Prime Creator on Prime Creator's journey. We see ourselves as an extension of Prime Creator, always gathering information, going off on adventures, and doing whatever we need to do to make our lives more interesting and challenging so that we can feed Prime Creator.
Start that again. That section. That we are Prime Creator, basically. That part.
We see ourselves as an extension of Prime... One sentence back. Prime Creator, in its own personal implosion through love, endowed all things with consciousness. All things are Prime Creator on Prime Creator's journey.
Boom. All things go again.
All things are Prime Creator on Prime Creator's journey.
That's it. If that is truly digested and lived and known, there's nothing else.
You will never look outside of yourself for anything. Never. How can it be? What is outside of yourself? What is outside of the universe? That's a topic for tonight. In order to get outside the universe, you have to become the universe. Until you see every aspect and molecule of everything, of this microphone to the back, to the chair, to the computer, to the cup,
To the cigarette smoke.
to the cigarette smoke, everything. And this is the paradox, that you identify with all of those things and yet you completely don't identify with any of them. That is the state. All of that gets you one key to enter back into the zero. That's how big the zero is. It's undescribable. All things are prime creator on prime creator's journey. We see ourselves, as they should, as an extension of prime creator, always gathering information, going off on adventures, and doing whatever we need to do to make our lives more interesting and challenging so that we can feed prime creator. As we feed prime creator through our schemes and our endeavors, we endow prime creator with greater energy to give to new creations. We have never gotten close to the entity prime creator. Even those of us who are beings of the grandest light vibration do not have the capacity at this stage of our evolution to be in proximity to prime creator. We are not prepared enough to handle the intensity of that emanation. It is our desire at some point in our evolution to get a glimpse and perhaps merge with prime creator for a time. We know that this is possible, so it is something we strive for. How beautiful.
Very nice.
That these grand beings who are of light beings cannot even get into proximity with prime creator. This is where the confusion of 0 and 1 needs to be clarified. 1 is light. 1 is light. 1, as grandiose as 1 is, as grandiose as light is, light makes no sense without darkness. And darkness is solely a lack of light, meaning that there is an interplay of light and dark. Love has no duality. Love is. But yet we say, I love Doritos. That's why we did the other podcast on love.
On love, yeah.
Love is the vibration of the zero. Love is the vibration of the feminine.
Free will upon love is how things are created.
Beautiful. Love, as Bringers of the Dawn says, light is information, love is creation. Light.
Yes, free will upon love creates light, which is creation.
Yes. So I want to be really, really clear on that. Hopefully it's been clarified. The idea of the zero is the stillness of isness, of undescribableness. It is beyond all thought, all comprehension, all understanding, all vibration, even beyond vibration. Because vibration is movement, you see. All of that exists is light. When you become all light, I love saying it this way. Sorry, I'll repeat it 1 billion times. You get one key to open the door back to zero. It's a big journey, but it's a fun one. And guess what? You are the zero. You are the zero.
You said it.
Yeah.
One more time, just that one part. All things are
All
prime
things
creator
are prime creator
on prime creator's journey. Wow. It's beautiful.
So that is 0 and 1. Thank you.
Bravo.
Bravo. Oh, bravo. Ends with the ends with 0.
Very nice. Very
Ends
nice.
with the O.
Leave a comment, subscribe, like, and share. This is the kind of stuff we're bringing to the table. Bravo to you, Amir. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, feeling good, feeling great. Heading to what's brewing.
How you feeling, Prime Creator?
My cup is full. We've grinded the beans. We are drinking of the cup, and I want to know what's brewing. You know, I'm already ready for the next thing. I want to know what's brewing.
Brewing.
Not brewing. Not brooming. I want to know what's brewing. Who's cleaning the beans that spilled?
Exactly.
Those need to be broomed.
Those need to be broomed and cleared up.
So I'm jumping ahead to spill the beans with the brooming, but I mean what's brewing.
I got you. Don't worry. We're one-on-one. We build up. We got flows going all day.
Where you want to take us to first?
Really, really interesting. I want to say this absolutely properly. Okay. So, you all remember, I don't remember the year, 2014, no, I just pulled it up. March of 2014, there was a Malaysia Airlines flight. Do you remember that vanished and disappeared? Mm-hmm. There is now footage of this flight. I'm going to kind of tilt this over when it comes back up. There's footage. I really encourage you guys to go research this. The footage of this flight, they have actually found that there are spherical things that are moving through and that go away on the radar. Okay? There are literally 3 orbs that exist around this flight that they caught this. This is through, I believe it's actually the Indonesian Air Force through which this goes through. And then this thing vanishes.
Wow, it's so cool.
What is incredible about this is
Can you put the link to this in the YouTube video?
Yes. If I forget, please remind me. If I forget, please remind me.
Put it in the link so they can watch this.
Yes.
The regular one is interesting. But the night vision one is bonkers.
Yeah, it is incredible because
so I'll try to describe it. Here's the plane. There's 3 orbs around it, and it's spinning around it, and all of a sudden, a small hole opens up like an iris, and it becomes huge, and then the plane goes in the middle of it, disappears.
Yes.
And what does it say?
It's incredible.
These are 20 passengers. I don't want to ruin it.
No. There's no. Read it. It's all good. 20 passengers on this flight. Okay. 20 passengers on this flight were employees at Freescale Semiconductor that is owned by Carlyle Group and Blackstone. What do these guys do? They focus on military-grade weapons that are specific on energy and vibration, and that it is believed now that they were starting to mess with time-space in a way that time-space was not supposed to be messed with, and these were lead scientists on that flight that are vanished out of existence.
See, I have a hard time with that because...
Tell me, this is...
Well, it's because the will of the Creator is to allow...
Who says it's the Creator that took
That's what I'm saying. So what I'm getting at is who's in charge of this activity, because we know that there's 2 companies that run things in the world.
Yes.
And it's Blackstone and Vanguard.
Yes.
So unless they're going against each other, I don't know. I'm not.
It is a very.
I'm not privy to all
thing.
of it. All I'm just saying is that this is very interesting, and what is happening and why. I mean, these people are aligned with the service to self groups of even 4D and even 5D negatives.
Yes.
So I don't see them as that's an activity that they would do, but they're in alignment with them already. So I'm really confused as to how and who's behind this.
Well, where I really go down, and it intrigues me, is similarly to how we've heard, and you guys please research this, please go look this stuff up too, is there are numerous military generals, all the way from the general level down to literally guys who are just regular infantrymen who are on the ground. But the ones that are on nuclear sites have often said, we've seen these orbs come, melt everything down, and go away.
See, but that's all right. So I understand that. There is proof of that. There was a nuclear test they were doing, and all weekend the power went out. They couldn't get the thing to work no matter what. And see, the way I look at that is that the Logos is okay with the sandbox catching on fire, but not okay with the entire school burning down.
Yes.
And the school burning down is the entire planet, right?
Yes.
But see, the logos didn't, in that case, didn't hurt anyone, didn't take people away and disappear. Anyone disappeared. You follow me? They just turned the power off so they couldn't conduct their experiment.
We also don't know what happened truly on that flight. Who else was on that flight? Was it really full? We don't know. I mean, there's so many of these things that...
Right, so you think that it could... This, of course, it's the media, right? So it all could be staged.
Very much so.
The plane could have been empty. No one could have been on it, but they set it up so that it looked like these people disappeared, and now they're able to do their work without...
Whatever they're going to do.
See, so that makes sense, too.
There's a lot of different things that come up. But check it out. Please do go research on all this stuff.
Well, he's going to put the link. I mean,
I will. I'll put
just
the
the fact that here... How about let's just take this. What we can see, if it is right... is phenomenally looking. It's insanely the look of it, what's possible if this is true and this footage is real. It is mind-boggling.
It's mind-boggling. Yeah.
You know, and what we know and what is offered to us is so little compared to what they're working with.
It's not even the splash of the oil from the pot.
It's not even.
Yeah, it's nothing. It's water,
it's
and they make it seem like oil.
It's the scent of the dish from far.
The scent of a woman. Al Pacino.
You gotta be kidding me.
Wow.
So, all right.
It's really, really cool. On
That's
tip.
Flight MH370.
Yes.
If you want to look it up. Flight MH370.
On that tip, we are in the world of the extraterrestrials and UFOs that is now so common that I think everybody is just whatever. They don't care. They have been talking about this.
Amir's like, do you have any news this week? And it was like the most biggest thing I know you're gonna talk about, like Mexico. There's everywhere these aliens, and I'm like, not really, whatever, a couple things, but not so important. It's like it should be like the biggest thing, but it's so whatever to me, you know.
Yeah. And not only to you, I think a lot of people are whatever. All I want to say on this stuff: use your discernment and your awareness. There are going to be very genuine people who have no intention, who are just trying to bring out their own experience and say, look, I saw this. Whatever this was, I saw this. I don't want money. I don't want notoriety. I don't want fame. I just want you to know this stuff is happening and I was there, and it sucks to carry that burden.
And we're going to talk about the Mexico UFOs. That's what we're mentioning. Well, that's where this is coming about.
Yeah. So just as a warning, because that's been huge news that has come out. Mexico, for those of you who don't know, by the time this is out, you'll definitely know. But the Mexican government put on this 3-hour show of testimony and
they brought
pictures
out the actual thing,
and
didn't they bring it out or no?
Yeah, it's wild. So I'm not judging that. I'm not saying it's good or bad. What I'm telling you is that be very careful what your sources are, because the same sources that are brought to you by XYZ company constantly and that show you the news, that bring you this information, a tiger doesn't change its stripes. Be very, very careful of what's being fed to you.
And be careful here too.
100% be careful with us too.
We're not the end all be all. What we say is just opinions. Do your own homework, do your own research, go within, find what resonates with you.
That's right. That's absolutely right. The only reason I wanted to bring up the Mexico UFO thing dovetailed on this because in the video, as you'll see the links, it does look like there's extraterrestrial, some sort of...
And you're talking about the flight,
UFO,
and the flight
flight.
MH, yeah, 370.
But be very, very careful is all I'm going to tell you. Anything that brings separation and fear is coming from that source. Anything. Within you or without you.
That's so big.
Yeah. So please use a discernment. This will happen. There's a lot of truth to all of this stuff. A lot of people have suffered tremendously through this, of these burdens, of being ridiculed, of being mocked, of being threatened, of even being killed to these levels. There's a lot of people who just want to bring light, but be careful. If the 3-lettered companies begin to bring you that kind of news, run. It's not what's most likely not the truth. All right. A couple other quick news items. One of them is one of my...
I'm actually really surprised you brought this up, or you're going to bring this up. This is so cool. This Aaron Rodgers thing.
Did you see this?
Yeah, I saw it from you, but I've seen it. Yeah, of course.
It's so
Yeah,
interesting.
They close his account afterwards too.
Yeah.
It's like so great.
It's so cool. So this guy named David Zaslav, who is the president and chief executive of Warner Brothers Discovery, one of the largest companies and most diverse entertainment groups in the world, blah, blah, blah. So this guy is the head of Warner Brothers. The head of Warner Brothers on Monday night, which was the 11th, September 11th, Monday night, September 11th. It's the first night of Monday Night Football of NFL. Goes onto X, aka known as Twitter,
Right.
and he sends out a message and he says, Aaron Rodgers is going to tear his Achilles on a rain-drenched MetLife turf in 2.5 hours.
This is just awesome. I mean, first of all, why? Second of all, how? Third of all, like, what happened that he did this? You know, like some catalyst was of grand proportion may have happened because he just dropped a huge bomb. And guess what? Here we go. Go on.
It is awesome that this is going on. So the head of this company tweets this out. Who comes up and says in 2.5 hours, this particular person on this field that has been raining is going to injure this specific body part?
Nobody wants to hear this, though. Nobody wants to hear this because they're so obsessed with sports and NFL and this and all that. It's so...
What happens 2.5 hours afterwards?
Boom.
Aaron Rodgers tears his Achilles on a rain-drenched MetLife turf.
Turf, not grass, and
Not
that
grass.
was, and then of course that all started. But let's go fast forward a few minutes later, and what happened to that guy who's the head of Warner Brothers' his Twitter account?
Adios. Account suspended. Gone.
It went against the guidelines of his tweet. Went against the guidelines of X/Twitter.
It is
Why did it go against? What guideline? What guideline did it go against?
Stop telling him about predictive programming. Shut him down. But the fact that people in positions like this are beginning to leak.
This is pretty amazing. Now here's where I was the next slide when I looked at it, and this is something that's known actually, is that the NFL went to court a while ago about some things that had happened and its predictions on those things, and they were taken to court. And the reason why the NFL was not found guilty is that they are a considered entertainment company. And as an entertainment company, they are able to do what they want to do with the narrative because it's considered entertainment. Furthermore, they are able to look at, even though every single team is its own company or own franchise, the way that it's looked at in the court's eyes is that all of them are just one.
Under one umbrella.
And that one umbrella is an entertainment
NFL,
company.
Right.
And the entertainment company is allowed to do that. So it protects all of them.
That's right.
So, if you do the homework and the research, so many things that we look at just becomes an illusion. But many folks don't want to, my friend said this once, very interesting. He said that he was in a meditation retreat and it was, whatever day of 7, day 8, 9, 10, whatever it was of him meditating. And he was looking forward to a sandwich that he had prepared for his lunch. And after meditating that long, they went and took the break and he sat quietly and he started eating his sandwich. And he said, if I don't drum up in my mind the taste of the sandwich, it doesn't have a taste at all.
Beautiful.
It's nothing. I'm
Exactly
just eating
right.
this thing and there's nothing there. But the perception of the sandwich and the taste and all that I make up.
That's right.
Right? And as a result, I buy into it and I believe it and it produces this thing.
Correct.
But people don't want to eat a no-tasting sandwich. They want to be, wow, he slipped. He broke his Achilles.
Right.
Oh, my God, I'm a Jets fan. Finally, we got someone good, and we've been struggling for 30 years. And
Boredom. Be very aware of boredom. Never let boredom consume you, and never let that be an excuse of you creating something. See how much we are addicted to drama. We are big time addicted to drama.
This is a big deal. This is a big piece of news. Good job bringing it.
Yeah, thank you. This one is extremely.
The fact that they close his account afterwards too. See, this is where they make the big mistakes, in my opinion.
Well, This goes
Okay.
next. This literally goes to the next thing that I want to bring up. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go. No, go.
This is where they make the big mistakes, in my opinion, because you know what? If they leave it on, right, and it's like you know what, this guy is just saying that, whatever, they try to make, they don't make such a big deal. But when you censor it and you close his account, that means that there's something there. That means that you're scared.
That's right. And
That tells us it was legit.
Do you know
it gives us legitimacy.
100%. And do you know why that happens? Because fragmentation is built upon fragmentation. It will implode on itself and collapse. Fear is built on fear. This guy, up or down, left or right, I don't care about him in that way. Whatever you want to believe about him or not, what is important is there are many cracks, and conscious or unconscious, these things are beginning to slip.
Have you sent that to anybody of your NFL fans? I really want to see. We should do an experiment and send
a lot
that
of them won't believe it. They just won't believe it.
Well, they're going to argue the facts. There's the post, there's the injury, and there's the closing of the account. 3 things. We just
easiest thing that the CIA has taught those people. You know what they say? That's just conspiracy theory.
Yeah, of course.
Easiest thing that they say.
We should also do a movie. We should do a movie night on that movie with Mel Gibson, the conspiracy theory movie.
That was a really good one.
I haven't seen it since that long ago.
Yeah.
I wonder if it still holds water now enough to do a movie night on it. And I wouldn't want to watch it either. If I watch it in advance, then it's not going to have the same
Lauryn
pop.
Hill did a remake of that song, which I love too. I love you, baby. And if it's quite all right, I need you.
So anyway, that was. I wonder how the football folks would perceive that. If the people who are attached to the NFL, the game, and all that, if they would really like what they would say. I think they'd probably, like you said, I think most of them would just say, it's BS.
If you are open, just stay open. Like, why would you even want to argue this? Why did this go? But going on this is a quote that I love that is so exactly online with this. This is from Mandy B. Groom. I have no idea if this was her original quote, but I just love it. And it so aligns with everything that we talk about. The longer we don't comply, the more desperate they become. The more desperate they become, the crazier the demands get. The crazier the demands get, the more people wake up. The more people wake up, the less powerful they become. Literally, I'm
so
in chills.
Good.
I'm in chills.
Mandy came through on this one.
This is exactly where we are at. That's why every time when we finish this section, I'm smiling ear to ear, no matter what the news is because I'm not saying this egotistically, that we bring this to you is enough in and of itself. Whether you believe it, you don't believe it, it is energy moving. All of these things that are occurring, the account being deleted or suspended, these are all because the desperation is beginning to come out. They are built on fear. Therefore, everything they do is act on fear. You know what we're built on? Love. Keep in love.
So there's a movie called American Gangster with Denzel Washington. Have you seen it?
I haven't.
Oh,
I've not seen that movie.
It's a good movie.
But I got to see it.
There's a point. I mean, it's kind of a spoiler. You want to hear it or no?
Sure.
There's a point where he...
Spoiler alert.
He sends spoiler alert. He sends somebody to go talk to this commissioner to tell him to back off this guy. Now this guy was lowest on the list. He wasn't even on the radar really, right? But the fact that he went and sent somebody to the police chief to tell him, "Hey, stop searching into this guy," was like, "Holy moly, this is some guy I need to look into."
Triggered.
Before that, I was like, "There's no reason to even worry about it." He made a mountain out of a molehill.
That's right.
And it was like, this tweet was this tweet. So what? It could have been just some crazy guy making a guess. There's all types of people online saying stuff. This is going to be the score tonight.
Right.
This is going to happen. I bet you that this is going to happen then. But the fact that he's an executive for Warner Brothers is big. But bigger, but in my opinion, almost as big is the fact that they closed his account or suspended his account afterwards. 100%. That to me is like, you gave legitimacy to this dude.
And they immediately closed his account. Like it's just
like the eyes were watching and they saw and they acted. It wasn't like it was a month later or whatever, and that's the thing is that like you said, it's just a matter of time before, more and more stuff slips through the cracks and is seen,
And I take that as whatever this was. Maybe the guy wasn't even conscious, but it is ethereal energy that is moving through that will look, we had clips of Biden saying stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's
Still,
beginning to crack.
he still says stuff all the time.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it's inconceivable.
But what I'm saying is that the system is beginning to crack. It is beginning to crumble in front of you. Don't be fearful of it. I'll read this. Go ahead.
Hold on. I want to ask you this.
Yep.
Was the football game broadcast on a Warner Brothers channel? Because that would be even more interesting.
I believe it was on ESPN, which would be Disney. Which actually, it would make sense that he's doing that because he has information. He wants to spoil a game prior to it, so people don't watch it.
So,
right?
but isn't Monday Night Football also on like a public channel that's not a cable? Monday Night Football like on
no,
channel
it
4 or
used to
7?
be on. It used to be on ABC.
Oh, wait a second. Doesn't Twitter broadcast NFL now?
I don't know. I don't think so.
See how this works? See the rabbit hole we go down?
Yeah.
That's the problem. You start here, you know.
But it is very interesting. It's a rival executive, that's for sure. Because Warner Brothers is a rival to Disney. So
can I watch
he was
NFL on
spilling
Twitter?
some-
Partners since 2013 through the Twitter Amplify program, the NFL and Twitter will provide the free live streaming video of Thursday Night Football without authentication
Thursday night. Yeah,
to over 800 million registered users. So they do have a partnership.
there you go. It's killing their business, right? It's killing their business. I'll read this quote and we'll...
NFL games are scattered across a wide range of channels and services, including Amazon, Prime Video, CBS, ESPN, Fox, NBC, and NFL networks.
Yeah. In all, remember this. Maybe we should read this every time on What's Brewing because I love this quote. The longer we don't...
Okay, come on now. Give me a second over here,
Go
okay?
ahead, go. He's sparking up right now. I like it.
As of August 3rd, 2023, Warner Brothers Discovery will start streaming live news and sports on Max soon, including the NFL. So it looks like Warner Brothers is stepping into
the world.
YouTube TV, and Warner Brothers offers NFL Sunday Ticket. YouTube and TV and offer. So there is Warner Brothers Discovery hints at a streaming strategy for NFL.
Yeah. Either way it works.
I mean,
it's a beautiful
just
thing.
still, he threw himself under the bus.
Oh,
it's just
but it's
so
all good.
crazy.
It's coming. Look, this guy could be a light worker and he's putting something out. We never know.
We
You
never
never
know.
know. You never know.
All right, anyway.
You can't make things into dualities. Read this quote one more time. The longer we don't comply, the more desperate they become. The more desperate they become, the crazier the demands get. The crazier the demands get, the more people wake up. The more people wake up, the less powerful they become. It's so beautiful. Remember that. Let the illusions go by. Don't be fearful of them. Don't be in duality against them. You have nothing to do that. Resonate in your love, resonate in your light, and know that if you want to get back to the zero, you have to identify with all of these things, including the people who suspend accounts and do all of that. But we are living in a beautiful, beautiful place. So,
All right, are you ready to spill the beans?
let's spill the beans.
Okay. So last week we did a beautiful podcast on the Bhagavad Gita. Please, if you haven't listened to it, do check it out. Also, subscribe, like, and share. And part of the lesson there was to not identify with the actor doing the task and to not, what's the proper word? To not...
Associate.
No, not associate. To not... To not anticipate or be attached to the outcome. To not be attached to the outcome. There you go. So don't identify with the actor and don't attach yourself to the outcome. So did we practice it?
I did. So we actually had a couple weeks.
Yes, we had a couple weeks off.
Correct.
Yeah.
Not for you guys, for us.
Amir went on vacation
Yes.
for his birthday. Where'd you go, Amir?
I went to Palm Desert, and it was great. It was the big 4-0, such a such a great,
Good job,
great
buddy.
weekend. It was
The Galapagos Islands you also went to?
Galapagos.
Did you go there as well or no?
Oh, it was beautiful.
So yeah, we took a couple weeks off. So when we take a couple weeks off, it's hard. In my opinion, it's kind of harder to do the task because the accountability is gone.
Yeah. So I did this. We've talked about this. We usually do it early in the week, and this was one of those that I did earlier in the week. I've had many of them actually occur for me later. We've chatted about this on the podcast, so I'm sure you guys have heard this. This one I did, and it was actually related to the trip. And it was a very interesting practice because I had very specific ideas of something that I really wanted to do, and I was very attached to a certain outcome that I wanted it to occur. And the story was actually really complex because it had multiple layers on it. I had literally forgotten the task, and as soon as Leonard reminded me, when he said the outcome thing, it popped because I was actually about to call you, which we haven't done that before. I've sent you a text once or twice, like, "Hey, remember this?" But I was about to call you when it settled. Interestingly enough, now looking back on it, it was perfect. Actually, like it's amazing. But the thing that I wanted to occur, I was very attached to. Like, I wanted to be this way. And I pulled back through actually a different level of awareness. And I was like, I need to receive. Like, I was like, I just need to receive. I'm blocking this thing that needs to be given to me. So going back to the 0 and 1, if we're going to connect it tonight a little bit, I was like, I need to open the feminine space and just receive this. Just step back, step out of the way. Don't be attached to that and let it go. And so I quickly moved out of the way. I totally opened up, and almost in a state of surrender, I was like, not in a bad way, like in a very loving surrender way. Like, if this is what you want to give, I'll take it. Let's go. And not until tonight that we're recording this now did I realize that the outcome was actually exactly what I wanted it to be. But it was through the letting go in that process of awareness of receiving it and not being attached to the outcome, that the outcome actually literally turned out to be exactly what I wanted it to be. And it was really, really powerful. But the part of it for me that was really, really big was right in the beginning of identifying that, I'm attached to this, let it go. And when I let it go, it actually literally now retrospectively, which at the time I was excited about just letting go of the attachment. That's what I was going to call you about. But now seeing it, even the result of it was actually quote unquote perfect. So that for me was really cool.
See, when we're concerned so much with the outcome, we worry. And when that worrying is that energy that's not good. And that we put that energy upon the situation and we make things worse for ourselves. I feel that as life, now that you're 40, you can see these kind of things. When life puts you through so much, right? Or you put yourself through so much, really, it's not life, but you put yourself through so many things and you come out the other side, you start to worry a little less about stuff. And you start to detach naturally because you're like, yeah, and if it doesn't work out the way I really wanted to, whatever. It's going to be fine anyway.
Yeah.
It's
all good.
So when you do that, you are able to actually take the step back and surrender and let go. And what will be, will be. And you know what? If it's great, it's great. And if it's not, you're like, okay, it's not. And you move on because you've had these games before. See, when you're young and you're 18 and you've got places to go and people to see and, you step out, you don't accept it. You need to put your will on the world. It's all masculine. Masculine energy. I need this outcome. And if it doesn't happen, you push again and you push again and you push again and you keep pushing sometimes for 15, 20 years of your life. Sometimes your whole life.
That's right.
But at some point, you say, you know what? Whatever. How it's going to come out, it's going to come out. And you start doing it more and more and more, and you start living a little bit more at peace. Swami Satchitananda is big on that. He says, is it going to disturb your peace? If it's going to disturb your peace, then don't bother with it.
That's right.
And there's levels to that, because sometimes you have to do stuff And you can't just say, well, doing that disturbs my peace. I'm not talking about avoidance here.
It's a fine line of discernment on that level.
Right.
Very, very fine line of discernment.
And we talk about this in the Bhagavad Gita podcast more. I'm just recapping it here because it's to me, it's so worthwhile. So anyway, in my case, I had a few things that came up where I, comfortably and easily said that I'm not attached to the outcome of this. And I said to the person I was speaking to, I said, it's either going to work out or it's not going to work out. It's just, and both is fine. Will be, and won't be, and it's okay either way. And you know what? I'm at peace with that.
Good.
Because if you hold tightly, that's where the attachment is what causes the suffering.
You hold tightly within. That's the issue. Yeah.
So anyway, let's go on to this new spiritual task that we're asking you guys to do and to hold us accountable to. And before we go on to that, if you did the exercise from the previous week, please leave a comment. I'm not seeing many comments about the spiritual tasks.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, are you guys doing them? If you are, just let us know. I did the task. It was bogus. It was great. Or just I did the task if you don't want to tell us what happened. Just so we know that, this task thing is worthwhile. It's good for us.
Yeah.
We like it. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm improving my life. I still do the calm water one. I did the calm water one today, twice.
Yeah.
I have a child. I do the calm water one a lot.
We got to do it. It's a reason that we bring these up, because it really does impact the being big time. So
all right, so let's go into the new one.
The task this week, I'm going to be a little bit specific, but I want you to I really want you to feel this. I want you to, as much as you can, get into a state of stillness. Absolute and total stillness.
Are you serious? This is the task?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow, that's so funny.
So, why?
That's so synchronistic. I mean, I watched this movie 2 nights ago, and I got into the book, and there was a huge portion about stillness, and I was like practicing stillness the past 3 days.
Really?
Like just sitting and being like, am I being still? Am I being still? I've been practicing this task already for the past 3 days.
Synchronicity to the max.
Oh my God.
Beautiful. That's a very good sign.
That's so funny.
It's a beautiful, beautiful symbol. So I want you in particular at 2 points. One, as soon as you wake up, as soon as your consciousness kicks in and you remember this task in the morning, do it, and try to go into the state of sleep with this task of being as still as possible. Within that, when you are absolutely gone and the thoughts are gone and you're just in the state of utter and total stillness, if your consciousness kicks back in, even if you've gotten to whatever the epiphany that you are, I want you to just note this, that ties back to tonight. You're beginning to sense oneness. Think about how big the zero is. In all of that stillness, in all of that lack of self, all you have done is you're beginning to touch oneness. All of oneness can just begin to touch the zero. That's how big zero is. So I'm excited about this, because really the main purpose of this is to realize how big the infinite is, how big it truly, truly is. It's a really massive thing. So let's not limit it, but stillness is one of the closest states in our physical consciousness, when we absolutely melt, when we no longer exist, when we are in this state of just whatever you want to call it, Zen, of the Tao. It is that state that is getting close to one. The one can finally touch the zero. So that is the task. Morning and night. Best times to do things, by the way. Really the best time, because you're typically alone. Typically it's quiet, depending on whatever it is, doesn't matter. But you are also in a state that you are either entering into the dream state or you're just coming out of it. So you're in this very fluid type of consciousness.
Yeah, I meditate in the mornings always. It's a great time for me. I really enjoy it.
It's really, really good. So that's the task.
Well, thank you, Amir. Thank you guys for being with us tonight. And always, We are all connected. We appreciate your connectivity with us. Please like and subscribe and comment. Again, I know we're beating it, but please do. Again, we're grateful for you.
Yes, we are all one.
We're all one.
Not zero, but we are zero.
We wish all, on that note, we wish all to be well, all to be happy, all to have inner peace, all to receive the love and the light of the Creator, all to avoid the causes of suffering. Om Tat Sat, so it is. Thank you. Till next week.